Hey, this is Kevin from Urevive. I want to start off by thanking everybody for coming here tonight. Please turn off Facebook, shut off your phone, and get prepared to learn a ton of great information. You're going to discover the single biggest contributor to aging in 40-plus men. In addition, you're going to learn why this problem is getting worse, and lastly, what you can do about it. I'd like to introduce you to our very special guest. His name is Sean Phillips. He's a friend of mine. While known for his six-pack abs, Sean is the co-founder of EAS and author of several books, including Strength for Life and Absolution. Sean most recently created the Full Strength Premium Nutrition Shake for Men. In the health and fitness world, Sean is a guru. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Sean Phillips.
Thank you, Kevin. It's really great to be here. As you know, I have such a passion for helping men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s live optimal, full-strength lives that this is like a perfect opportunity for me. I really appreciate it.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in the fitness and health world? You have a huge amount of experience and a lot to tell us about, so please share.
Yeah, sure, Kevin. I'd love to share a little bit. I've been at this thing, most of my life, since I was in my early 20s. I grew up as an athlete and I became a bodybuilder. Then my early 20s, I started working with my brother Bill, and we just thought there's a better, healthier way to do this thing. And we started into really the path of natural supplements and healthy living and kind of a life performance model. We helped launch a company called Metrics, and then EAS became, followed that, and we launched creatine. We were the very first to do creatine, which is, really the single biggest supplement in the history of mankind. EAS became the largest sports nutrition company in the world. We had athletes all over the world and millions of people doing it. And then Body for Life came along, and then we had the great fortune of selling that company and moving on. And since then, I built another nutritional company that I sold to a friend. And then, when I hit my 40s, I really started what became the full strength movement now with the Full Strength Nutrition Shake. And, I wrote my last book a few years back called Strength for Life, which is really, it's kind of part Body for Life, part 2, and also looking at, a guide to stronger, healthier living for life in the second half of life, because that's where I was. And I love sharing things that are relevant to my life and experience. So it kind of brings us up to today. And, as you know, it's a real passion of mine to help guys live freer, clearer, stronger lives. So this is great fun for me.
Well, it's really exciting to have you here, so thank you.
You bet.
Well, in our discussion today, we're going to talk about the single largest contributor to aging in 40-plus men, why this problem is getting worse, and what you can do about it. So, before we get into that, I want to ask you 3 specific questions. Are you losing your sex drive? Do you feel tired and lack focus? Are you losing muscle and storing belly fat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this presentation is going to be critically important to you.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit to that, Kevin, too, just to have them check in and really think about what I've seen in guys is, and I talk to a lot of guys that are going through, an experience of losing energy and vitality. And it's so subtle sometimes they're not really even tuned into it. They have to check in and they go, wow, it's not really, are you living with the sort of vitality and energy that wakes you up every day with passion? And if not, question it.
Good point. Thank you. Well, one of the single largest contributors to aging in men after the age of 40 is the decrease in testosterone levels. Sean, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, we've seen more of this phenomenon of the drop in testosterone, and it's not just an age-related thing, because there's a phenomenon going on these days that, there's so much more contributing to this, the stress and the lifestyle that we're suffering from. A good friend of mine is Dr. Life, with the Centogenics. You recognize, most people know him as the 75-year-old guy that looks like he's 35. And we were talking, I did an interview with him recently, we were discussing how this problem of lower testosterone is actually a worldwide problem and phenomenon. So there's a lot of things occurring right now at this time in our life that are contributing to an exaggerated drop in testosterone, not just a natural decline.
Right. Well, before we get into the exacerbated drops in testosterone that are occurring today, let's talk about what's normal. The average male loses about 1% of their testosterone per year annually after the age of 35. You can see in this diagram here that normal testosterone levels are 500 to 700 nanograms per deciliter, and anything below 300 is considered low testosterone or low T. These dropping testosterone levels affect the mind, they affect the body in terms of muscle strength, in terms of how you deal with fat, and also they're directly connected to libido and sexual performance.
Well, and life performance. One of the things I tell guys to look for is if you feel a little bit depressed, but you're too depressed to give a damn about it, that's a clue, right? I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's really that thing like, I don't know that I really care. And that allowing or settling for less vital energy. And we're not talking about superhuman performance. We're talking about your right to be as strong and vital as you choose to be. Not getting a red cape and flying around the globe. We're talking about having healthy, vibrant testosterone levels.
One of the things I wanted to mention to you is why I care about this. It's clear that Sean is very passionate about it and knowledgeable about this subject, but why do I care? First off, my dad has low T, and I've seen him struggle with it. He's using testosterone gel, and he's had mixed effects with that. And personally, I'm on the low normal level of testosterone levels. So I'm concerned about this. I'm following it, and I'm personally invested in this journey.
Well, and congratulations on the awareness and the self-care aspect of it. Too many guys aren't taking control and seeing about what they can do about it. So this is a great opportunity, and I appreciate the story.
Thank you. So if you go to your doctor and you get a blood test and it shows that you have low testosterone, your doctor will most likely prescribe testosterone gel, which is a form of hormone replacement therapy. They also could have prescribed testosterone injections or patches, but testosterone gel, androgel, is the most commonly prescribed treatment for low testosterone.
Yes, it is, and I don't want to be a heretic on the pharmaceutical industry. We know the pharmaceutical industry has issues, especially as it relates to doctors and prescriptions. But the androgel thing is just going a little crazy for me. I mean, they're really getting on this, and I think it's because it's a convenient, easy prescription. And an androgel, even if you were choosing hormone replacement treatment of this model, androgel has some real drawbacks.
Yes, Sean. I mean, there's a lot of issues with the androgel essentially patch that people are getting. Or the side effects include infertility, prostate growth, which can lead to prostate cancer, skin area rashes, liver toxicity, and other issues. But what is more alarming to me is that it's as I mentioned before, a patch. They're not looking at what the root cause of the drop in testosterone is. They're not doing anything to support the testosterone pathway. Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about that issue?
Well, and I want to make it clear, and I like what you're saying is, it's as the medical industry likes to do. They're treating a symptom. They're not coming back to the root cause of it and questioning the cause. They're saying, okay, so you've got that, so let's treat it because that's where the money is. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not anti-hormone replacement if you need it, but when you have addressed the core functioning of your body and the systems. I mean, if you're a person who is suffering from a reduction in testosterone, but you have not done the things to correct your environment and your lifestyle, then you're over medicating and over treating, and that type of, solution, that's, it is, as you say, it's putting a Band-Aid on it. And that Band-Aid is going to start have greater and greater side effects. You're going to be over medicated. So how do you even know if you need hormone replacement therapy if you haven't done the things that we're going to help you understand that Kevin is sharing here that can help you correct it from the root cause, that can get your body back into an optimal condition and state, your life into an optimal state, and get yourself running at a higher octave and higher tone? That's really, I think, that's step one.
Right. And I also, I don't want to sugarcoat my biggest concern, which, in the 80s and 90s, women were prescribed estrogen to deal with, menopause. And one of the issues that we're finding now is many of these women developed breast cancer and a lot of other health issues by going through hormone replacement therapy. We don't have any long-term studies on hormone replacement therapy with men.
Well, and I think it's an important thing that, you're giving these, our listeners and all the people smart enough to be here on the show have this opportunity to be corrective and proactive and take control of your life and move forward from a stronger position, not having to turn just to medicines.
So Sean mentioned earlier that our testosterone problem is getting worse. 2 major studies were done, one on U.S. men and another one on Danish men, where they tracked the testosterone levels of men from 1987 to 2004. What they found was very alarming. In a nutshell, men today have 22% less testosterone than their dads.
Ouch.
So now you may be asking yourself, why is this happening? Why are men experiencing lower testosterone levels today than they were in the previous generation? Well, there's really numerous factors that are contributing to this. The first one is genetically modified food. The food that we eat today is less nourishing than the food that our parents ate. And that's because it's been stripped out of all of the
vital nutrients. I mean, and that's, there's so many vital, someone explained to me one time the number of just micronutrients in an apple, and it's astronomical of all the different things that are just contained in an apple, and we think of that as a simple food. So there's all these elements that are taking place that have just been eradicated from our nutrition.
And another issue is the toxicity caused by prescription drugs. Now, one thing that you have to be aware of is that most people discard of their prescription drugs by flushing them down the toilet. Yep. Or putting them into the garbage. What happens is that these products leach into the water supply, and so you are indirectly taking other people's prescription drugs.
That is very true, and they're not filtered out properly, and it's really, there's been a lot of studies and research into the amount of birth controls which get, urinated into the system, and it goes down, and now, if anybody ever wonders why 13-year-old girls look like they were 18 a generation ago, because they're getting a dose of estrogens, but so are all the guys, right? So right. Estrogens in your drinking water is a real problem.
Right. And then another issue is just all the environmental toxins in the air we breathe, as I mentioned, the water that we drink, all the different environmental influences that are causing estrogen dominance.
Estrogen dominance is a great word. I often say, you look at, they don't call it Mother Earth for no reason, right? Even in the plant-based world, it's easy to find phytoestrogens and other estrogens and things, even like you will see in soy, but rarely ever walk into the natural environment and slip into a thing of testosterone.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Right. Well, at this point, we've covered a lot of information, and I just want to recap what we've said. So, number one, your testosterone will decline naturally with age. That's normal. Everybody deals with it. So that's part of what it is to be a man. Second thing is, testosterone declines are getting worse. Why? Because of genetically modified foods, prescription drugs, and environmental toxins.
BPAs.
Right. So here's the question I want to pose to everybody. The problem is not low testosterone. The problem is, what are you going to do about low testosterone? It means you have a choice. You can either sit on the sidelines and just deal with it passively, or you can jump into the ring and actually do something about it and be proactive about your health and vitality.
Yeah, and that's, taking the ride of life or dictating and being in control of where you want to go and how you want to live.
So in this next section, we want to inform you on what you can do today to actually improve your vitality and improve your testosterone levels in a very, very basic way. The first one is resistance training. Sean, why don't you explain why resistance training is critical for the testosterone production pathway?
Well, there's a number of things. Now you're talking, that's sweet music to me. As a real, my ground and my history and my background is all in the strength training capacity. And I really try to teach people that exercise is great. I mean, exercise is important to, whether it's jogging and all the other things we can do, but ultimately resistance training is unique because it doesn't just, burn calories. It changes your body and the chemical reactions and processes from the inside out. It drives and forces your body to produce more growth hormone, to stimulate testosterone. Nothing stimulates a testosterone surge like a little bit of strength training. I mean, just pounding that and I mean, really moving into the resistance and power of even high intensity interval training as a form of cardio will stimulate testosterone, where low jogging and other things actually push testosterone and growth hormone down. So the resistance training has a vitality stimulating part within the body, but it also has a role it plays in shedding your body of excess glucose or blood sugar and balancing and helping your body manage insulin. So if you look at the top 10 biomarkers of aging, there was a book done about 12 years ago called The Biomarkers of Aging, and there's massive bodies of research. And the top 10 biomarkers, 9 of them are directly positively influenced by strength training and resistance training. So I can't say enough. I mean, I could do an entire show on how important it is to your vitality, your longevity, your testosterone, your wellness to do some resistance training.
I couldn't agree more. On my own personal experience, whenever I go to the gym and pump some iron, I do my best thinking after that workout. So
clears your head, man.
For sure. So the second thing I suggest for you is you got to eat clean. You have to eat as much natural, organic produce as possible. You need to get away from pesticides, and you need to get away from genetically modified foods.
I want to echo that again. Let me stand up on the table here and scream a little bit on the organic piece. Really studying what organic means. Eating your vegetables pesticide-free, as you said, Kevin, pesticide-free, because those things, they mimic estrogens, they get in our bodies, they screw up our systems, and we've been tolerating this stuff for half of a generation or a generation now, and we're coming to an end of it now. We just, so be one of the leaders and step out and into the healthy, clean eating.
Solution number 3, increase your protein intake. I'm going to hand this one over to Sean because I consider him one of the foremost experts on protein. So Sean, please.
Well, yeah, I mean, resistance training and protein. I mean, I grew up in the protein world. I was, I helped launch the original meal replacement ever, Metrics. I mean, it was the first. And, actually it was interesting backstory on Metrics. I'll give you a little bit, is that the idea of the nutrition shake actually came from the National Cancer Institute originally because they were trying to nourish recovery in cancer patients. And this idea then grew into the performance world. The thing about bodybuilding is, while it's become a weird, obtuse sport, it has a lot of knowledge base. It's kind of like, we learned a lot from sending man to the moon, right? And all comes back, and you make all these great advancements. By pushing the bounds of what you can do in the body, you learn a lot. And one of those things that we learned 20 years ago is the importance of protein. Every cell in your body is built from a protein. It builds the hormones, it provides all the building blocks for everything your body does. So, the protein has the role of building up. It has the role of building the muscles. The muscles become that metabolic engine that not only burn fat, but require this testosterone and stimulate the testosterone and growth hormone in your body. But more so, there's another role that protein plays. And that role that it plays is in providing a balanced energy source. Now, you think protein's not energy, but what protein is going to do for you is reduce the blood sugar spikes or the insulin spikes. Because what we're trying to do in controlling and upregulating our quality of life and our hormones is get our blood sugar and insulin under control. We hear a lot about insulin resistance. We hear a lot about pre-diabetes or pre-diabetic or becoming a diabetic. That phenomenon is directly related. It's not an accident that we're suffering low testosterone and jacked up insulin levels, right? And these things are working together because they kind of work against each other. A high insulin level will reduce your testosterone level. So when you eat protein, and this is one of the things I teach in Strength for Life, which is I make protein job one. So every meal I sit down, I look at my protein and I build my meal around that protein. And then I eat the protein first so that it buffers the release of carbohydrates and fuel into my bloodstream, providing for a more stable energy all day long, keeping my insulin levels lower, which adds to my longevity, my life, reduces cancer impact and rates and stimulants. So protein, find the protein in your life. I mean, one of the things I talk a lot about is if you go out to eat, you ever notice how they're happy to feed you carbohydrates and fat all day long, but they're always acting like the protein's liquid gold, right? How do I control the protein amount? You have to ask for extra turkey. You have to ask for extra chicken, but they're happy to throw extra rice on stuff, right? That's the protein is think of it as job number one, not just for your meal, for your life, think of every time you're fueling yourself with a good solid protein, you're doing a positive step towards boosting your testosterone, your vitality, your life.
Definitely. And one of the things that I always tell my customers and my friends is that one of the easiest ways to guarantee that you get a quality protein throughout the day is by taking a whey protein shake of high quality.
Yeah, and I think the quality is an operative word here. I mean, I see, there's a lot of popular stuff out there you can buy that, whey protein or proteins, like any food, comes in different qualities and different degrees. I mean, there's like diamonds, there's lower grade, medium grade, higher grade, and the high quality, like the organic foods you will buy, are cleaner, purer, they process better in your body, they taste better too, by the way, but they're not like a byproduct. So a lot of the bulk proteins that people will buy, at the cost effective, stops, which I won't name any of those, like Walmart. A lot of those places, what they are is a byproduct, and so kind of more of a waste product, and they're turned into a whey, and they tend to have more cholesterol in them and more funky stuff. And that's not the kind of thing we're talking about. We're talking about, I believe in, and you know this, Kevin, about me, when I built Full Strength, I built it on the vision. My vision is that the nutrition shake can and should be the most predominant form of fast food in America by the year 2020. And so I believe in a daily nutrition protein shake of some sort as a staple and a lifestyle.
For sure. And by the way, at the end of this presentation, we'll tell you how you can get your hands on some Full Strength. But
I'd love to share it.
Okay, so. Wonderful. So solution number 4 is general supplementation. 2 supplements that I think every man should be on is a quality multivitamin with minerals and fish oil. Specifically in the multivitamin, B6, B12, zinc, all of those are critical for the testosterone pathway.
Yeah, and that zinc is really, you think of these things as being ordinary because we've heard of them so often, and you see the numbers. 70% of men in America are suffering from low zinc levels. If you have a low level of zinc in your system, your body can't even produce the testosterone that you need.
Right. Fish oil, on the other hand, helps to regulate the production of testosterone by improving the insulin response as well. So just like Sean spoke about a few minutes ago, with protein helping to regulate the insulin response, fish oil also has a similar response as well. Yeah,
the fish oils and the omega-3s, and we are omega-3 needing machines. And I think the more we can get, the more, I know personally, the better I feel. My eyes are clear, my skin is clear, my energy is better. I just, my joints move better. I'm a huge omega-3 fish oil guy.
Solution number 5 is to find a testosterone booster that does 3 things. Number 1, it should increase free testosterone production. Number 2, it should support the testosterone pathway and support free testosterone. Sean, in a second, will talk about the difference between free and bound testosterone. And number 3, a testosterone booster should inhibit the conversion of testosterone to estrogen.
Well, and what you're talking about is the 3 primary drivers here. I mean, these are the big 3, right? And you can't, and so often, guys are looking at one thing. I want to boost, but if you boost and you don't deal with the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, you screw your whole ratio up. You could have high testosterone levels and high estrogen levels and be no better off than the guy with low testosterone levels.
So the problem with most testosterone supplements is they just don't work. We were talking about, if you put poor quality food in your body's not going to perform at its highest level. You're not going to be vital. Well, it's the same thing with supplements. You have to make sure that your supplements are free of fillers and binders. In addition to that, you have to look at the bioavailability. And what that means is how easily does your body absorb the critical ingredients in the supplement. The last thing is you want to really look at your supplements and you want to say, hey, are these proven ingredients? Have they been used by indigenous cultures for long periods of time? And is there science behind them?
Yeah, and bringing that history and the science. I mean, as you know, Kevin, being in the supplement industry for as long as I have, I know the difference between real science, pseudoscience. You know, I did a study with 5 friends in a garage science, right? And, you know, so a lot of people try to sell you on a lot of things. And I want to bring up the bioavailability and the sourcing thing you mentioned too, because when you get into a lot of the herbs and things that have shown to be effective in raising testosterone, sourcing and the quality is everything.
For sure. I want to reiterate, when you're looking at how you can increase your testosterone levels naturally and safely, there should be 3 things you really need to review. First, number 1, you want to increase production of testosterone. Secondly, you want to support the free testosterone pathway and the testosterone production pathway. So you got to lubricate the engine, essentially. And then the last thing is you have to make sure that you address the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. In the medical world, they prescribe what's called aromatase inhibitors to people who are producing too much estrogen. There are a bunch of natural substances like chrysin and DIM, which have been used to block the conversion of testosterone into estrogen.
Yeah, it's funny. A little backstory is actually the guy who first discovered chrysin, as I call it, chrysin or chrysin, was working for us actually. It's funny.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so it was in the early 90s, really. It was very pioneering at the time and really turned out to be quite a discovery. You know, I want to talk a little bit about too. You mentioned the aromatase inhibitor here, and that's going back to a previous slide. That's one of the big issues with the androgel, is your skin really is, you know, it has a desire. It has a chemical in it that when it goes through your skin, it turns it into, it basically aromatizes your testosterone to estrogen, a certain percentage of it. So it depends on where you put it on your body. And even in the thinnest skin areas, it's going to have some conversion. So that becomes a big issue for the gels.
So, you know, we gave you 5 different tips on how you can increase your testosterone levels. So let's reiterate some key points. In order to boost testosterone production, support the testosterone pathway, and block the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, you've got to do 5 things. And you got to do them well. You got to commit. So grab a piece of paper and write these things down. Here are the 5 things again that you need to do if you want to boost your testosterone.
Now, I want to just tell these guys, I want to tell every guy listening to this show right now, this is the big takeaway. This is the big money shot right here. So write these 5 things down because you can change your energy, your life, your vitality in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, in a month. You could be living a completely energized, charged life, you know. And I want to say, you know, one of the things that a healthy testosterone level can do for a guy better, faster than anything else is get belly fat off. Mm-hmm. It's a huge role.
Right. For sure. So solution number 1, resistance training, at least 3 times a week. How long do you think people need to do it, Sean?
You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be a great duration. If you are using intensity and you're really training and you're in there working itself, 25 minutes is ample. 20 to 25 minutes is ample time. I mean, there are 15-minute workouts that actually work. And I don't think that time is the big problem, but 25, 30 minutes is ample time.
Perfect. So the next solution, number 2, eat clean. You need to get away from pesticides. You need to eat non-genetically modified foods. You just need to eat clean.
Skip the McDonald's, at least for this period, right?
Or forever.
Yeah, or forever. That's another option, forever.
The third solution, increase your protein intake.
Ooh, yeah, love the protein intake.
Solution number 4, supplementation, including a multivitamin with minerals and fish oil.
echo that. Fish oil is so important, and the multivitamin. A lot of guys will overlook it and think it's simple and easy, and it is just absolutely critical. The more science and studies I look at, assume it's a life quality issue.
And solution number 5 is get yourself a testosterone booster. So you may be asking yourself, what should you look for in a testosterone booster? Well, we need to go through the actual ingredients that you need to be looking at. First off, fenugreek seed extract has a long history of being a libido increaser and also increasing testosterone levels.
Yeah, I've seen some really great studies, and I like the history of the fenugreek. I mean, there's something classically and authentic and real about it because it's not some funky exotic thing, but it's really something that we've seen over hundreds of years being utilized.
For sure. Tribulus terrestis. Tribulus has been used by bodybuilders to increase mass and increase lean muscle.
First came out of Bulgaria in the late 80s, early 90s, really. I actually received like the original Tribulus in the old pink box from a guy in Bulgaria in 1993 or 4. I mean, at that time it was so like odd or peculiar, and we had to look it up and find all these studies on it. And it has turned out to be one of the most reliable and potent for really stimulating that pathway from the pituitary to the testes to produce testosterone.
Right. The next ingredient that you should be looking for is ginseng. Ginseng has been used in China and Russia as a health tonic and aphrodisiac for long periods of time, and it's considered a general wellness booster.
Yeah, I mean, ginseng, what you're talking about here is classic and ancient stuff. And it, one of the things I've noticed in ginseng is you can always tell the difference in the quality and source of the ginseng. It's what they call an adaptogen, which really helps you cope with stress and helps your body, adapt and just operate at a higher level.
The next ingredient that you guys should be looking at is cordyceps. It actually comes from a fungus that's found on caterpillars in China. It's used by endurance athletes to help increase their energy levels. It positively stimulates the ATP pathway.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those vitality boosters, which really, by bringing that energy and vitality back into your body, you're able to upregulate your cell functions. And it's one of those, I'm impressed you can pronounce it so well, Kevin. Nice job.
Thanks. Another ingredient you guys should be considering is muripuama. It's known as the South American Viagra. Essentially, it comes from it's called a potency wood, and it's used as a general sexual tonic and helps men. And really, one of the main issues with men that have low testosterone is they have decreased performance.
Well, which is great because, I mean, really, decreased desire leads to decreased testosterone. And the thing we know that the only thing maybe better than resistance training for boosting your testosterone is actually having great sex. So that's a double boost there.
Right. So the last item that I want to talk about, which we briefly mentioned before, is chrysin. Chrysin it comes from the passion flower, and what chrysin does is it blocks the conversion of testosterone to estrogen.
And that really comes down to creating the more free testosterone, which we referenced a little bit about, because it's all about how much free or available testosterone is in your body to be utilized. And if you can reduce the amount of estrogen in your body or the amount of conversion, so you've got, that's going to make all the difference.
Right. And last but not least, you want to look at a few key vitamins and minerals. Specifically, you want to be looking at B6, B12, and zinc. We know from a lot of studies that men who are deficient in zinc do not produce testosterone at all. So it's critical that your testosterone booster have zinc in it. It's a critical component.
And as we talked about, or I referenced earlier, it's remarkable the occurrence and frequency of low levels of zinc in our society today. And once again, it comes back to our nutrient deficiencies from food and our dietary challenges.
Right. So most of the things that we talked about today are pretty easy to attain. The last one, which is finding your testosterone booster, is not that easy. And so that's one of the things that we've done at Urevive, is that we consulted with top people in the medical community people in the naturopathic community and also people like Sean to come up with a formulation that really is unique, better, and it just provides all of the essential nutrients that someone needs in a testosterone booster.
And I think it warrants adding to at this point. Not only does it have the ingredients you're looking for here, but it doesn't have some of the things that people ought not be looking for, because there's a number of popular ingredients out there that have become kind of big story testosterone additives, which are not good for you. They're ineffective. The science is flaky, and they actually have undesirable side effects. So not having those things is a double win.
Right. And many of the other companies out there that have a testosterone booster might have 2 or 3 of these ingredients, but they don't address all the issues. I mean, I haven't found any products out there that have murepoama or chrysin in them. A lot of them do have the fenugreek, and some of them have the tribulus, but they're missing a lot of the different pieces.
Well, what happens in this, being in the supplement industry for 20 years, I mean, I know if you're going through, especially through the national distribution channels, it's so hard to put the quality and the level of ingredients, the effective dosage that is required because of the costs included. So what people do is they put a single flagship and they try to rely on one ingredient, and then so often they'll put half of what's needed, or maybe they'll go 2/3 if they're feeling brave, but they won't put the full effective dose. Then there's other companies, as we talked about, Kevin, which will they'll give you what you need, but they want to do it in 2 or 3 products because there's a lot more margins in that.
For sure. And if you were to go out and price each of these individual ingredients and get a supplement for them, you'd be at $130 to $150 for a 1 month supply.
Yeah, you think it was crazy, man. I mean, yeah.
Right. So the other thing that's important to us is that, even though some of these products are sourced overseas, 100% of this product is made in the USA, and it's 100% natural. So it's free of any binders or fillers, which is one of the things you have to be looking out for when looking at competing products.
Yeah, and produced in a GMO facility, and you have all your spectrum studies, and you've checked everything, and the purity is there, and the dosages and the effective level is there. And I think that's the win, is are you in control of it from start to finish? And so many people aren't. These days it's easy for smaller companies and people just to throw a label on something and not actually build a unique, personally designed product.
For sure. Well, one of the questions you may be asking yourself is, does it work? Well, I've personally tried our product, and it has stimulated my testosterone production. We have a test group that have done it. Haven't done a clinical trial on this. I don't want to make false claims. I'm a very transparent person, but all the ingredients were highly researched on an individual level, and that's why we feel comfortable making claims around the individual components within the product.
Well, and that's really the responsible way to go about it. I mean, that's the adult way is to make the absolute best product with the best ingredients that you can find the science on and source, and then let you, the customers, really experience it, because it's really about what you experience and about you having that trial period, so that you can say, hey, this is how it's, how I'm feeling it, and giving Kevin the feedback on that.
For sure. In addition to getting a great product, we also want to give you some tools that you can take home when you purchase Urevive from us. The first one is a fitness guide. It'll teach you some basic things about where to start your exercise program. The second thing is a brain power technique ebook. This will teach you how to use your brain. Most people don't understand that testosterone is directly connected to cognitive function.
Amen.
And then last but not least, when you take Urevive, when you do your exercises, when you do all this stuff and you have more free testosterone, you're going to want to get back into the bedroom and have fun again. So we've included another guide that will help you kind of re-spark the activity in the bedroom.
Hell yeah, and we'll get you in shape so you can really get that stamina going. And you got the cordyceps in there too.
Well, here's what you can do now. You can click the button below and you can check out the different packages we have. I want to reiterate that, it's very expensive to condense all of these ingredients into one pill. You would spend $150 a month if you were to buy each of these ingredients yourself. And not to mention, you'd have to choke down about 15 pills a day.
Ooh.
Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah, good times.
With Urevive, you get the same benefits with just 2 pills a day, and it's for less than half that price. Right now, the labs that we're using can only produce about 500 units. We're not a big company. Urevive is not EAS.
Yeah.
we can only source a certain amount of, and we have very specific labs that we work with, and so we only have a limited supply on hand. So we're using only premium ingredients, and it's really tough to get these high quality ingredients. So here's the deal. If you agree to be part of a little test market for us, you can be first in line, and you can stay first in line. You can get Urevive for $47. Our normal retail price is over $60.
Damn, that's a deal.
Yeah. It comes to $1.57 a day. That's less than what you spend on your Starbucks coffee every day.
Yeah, way less.
Yeah. I'm not going to leave you hanging. With your purchase, you get a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try out the product for 90 days. If it doesn't work for you, call us, get an RMA, ship back your empty bottle, and we'll refund your money. I don't want to take your money if you're not getting results.
I got to ask, is it pun intended on the satisfaction guarantee?
I hope you're super satisfied. Actually, I hope your partner is super satisfied as well. Last but not least, Sean was kind enough to come here today and share his wisdom with us. I am a customer of Sean's. I buy Full Strength. And I really think it's critical that you guys know that when you buy Urevive, but even if you decide not to buy Urevive, we're going to give you access to some special pricing with Sean and his Full Strength product.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin. I mean, it's, like I say at the beginning, this area, it is great passion of mine, and helping men live that freer, clearer, stronger lives in this, in the prime of their life. Really when you have the most to contribute to the world is my life mission. It's what I'm committed to. And that's what I built Full Strength. What I built it for was to support the energy and the lifestyle, So when you look at correcting your testosterone and changing your life and turning the corner and, creating a new vibrant upstep in your life, taking the Urevive and backing it up with some Full Strength is an incredible experience and opportunity. And I want to make that offer to all your guests on the show, to everybody here today. I mean, and this is for people here now, today only, really. I want to invite you to try the 14-day Full Strength challenge. And this is how, kind of like what Kevin was talking about, this is how I do the Full Strength, which is, 90% of my Full Strength is committed to customers, and they're members. They're people that are in my inner circle. They do a shake every day. Some of them do 2 shakes a day. And, I've had people with me for 6 years. You don't get there if you don't find that Full Strength is actually doing what I say it's going to do, if you're not actually feeling the strength and energy and vitality. So for what I do is I go 14 days. Kevin, I just say, look, give me 1 shake a day for 14 days. At the end of 14 days, if you're not feeling lighter, leaner, stronger, if you're not eating better all day long, if you're not sleeping better, if you're not having better energy, if you're not feeling like you want to go train, if you're not just everything in your life is that much better, it's 100% money back guarantee, because I'm not going to force you down into my membership. There's no way, and I'll admit it. I have to admit it. There's something like 7 or 8% of guys it just doesn't work for.
Right. And I would guess that a big portion of those guys are just not taking the product consistently, and they're not committed to a full, well-rounded program.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, really. I think the thing about it, when you talk about eating clean and stuff, what I found in Full Strength is when you start your day with a Full Strength shake, it's so much easier to eat right all day long, because you get that insulin management potential. I call it insulin momentum.
Right.
Starts your day right. And so it becomes a in the morning ritual for the 14 days. You start with a shake, and then you just eat well all day long, have better energy. So I want to invite all your guests and listeners to try the the 14-day challenge, and I'm going to cut the price down from the $69 normal price to a $59 starter with a 100% money back guarantee, 14 days strong, and you can find out for yourself. Usually on day 11 or 12 is when people start to go, whoa, I'm really kicking in, because it starts to upregulate the process. And I'm sure that's the same thing with Urevive, which is you've got to let the body start to correct. It's not like having a cup of coffee. You're going to feel it in an hour. You got to do it week 2, 21 days, you start to kick in, right?
For sure. And you have to realize that the testosterone pathway, as it relates to your overall health, is really about a system. And the system has multiple inputs, and it has multiple trigger points. And so that's why in this presentation, we wanted you to be crystal clear that you have to exercise, you have to eat right, you have to take supplements like fish oil and a multivitamin with minerals. You have to increase your protein your protein intake. And lastly, you have to have a quality testosterone booster. If you do these 5 things, you will have results. You will get positive results.
And that's the responsible truth, right? And so many people want to tell you see the TV, they come on, take this pill and it's going to cure everything. And we're saying, look, having the support, the right support nutrients, the right ingredients in a booster, and a testosterone booster is all important, but doing all the things that can really truly change your life and support your testosterone booster, support your testosterone, support your life, is the message that I think Kevin and I both want you to walk away with.
For sure. I mean, that's responsible marketing. So let's recap. When you order Urevive, you get a high quality, well-researched, well-thought-through testosterone booster. You get your 3 bonus reports. You get a 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee. And you get access to Sean's Inner Circle 14-day reboot with his whey protein shake, which is more than just a whey protein shake. I really have to emphasize that if you take full strength in the morning, you have just fixed 40% of your nutritional needs for the day.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. And that's, it's real important to say is this isn't another protein shake. This is a complete nutritional meal for a man in the prime of life. And that's what it's designed for. It's unique in its flavor. It's unique in its satiety. It's unique in the way it works inside your body to upregulate metabolic processes. And that's the most important thing I can emphasize for you guys, and the importance of whey protein in your life. I mean, whey protein is a unique protein in what it can do for your body, for your life, for your mind.
So I want to end this webinar by issuing a challenge. Specifically, what are you going to do about your testosterone? If you don't take action today, a year from now, you'll probably be in the exact same situation, or probably even worse than you are today.
Worse.
Most likely worse. But if you do take action, you can improve your libido, you can increase your energy, and you can feel like the old you. You can feel that the mental sharpness. Your mood will improve, and you'll start to see muscles forming that probably weren't there for a while, or have been decreasing over time. I really, really want to issue a challenge. I mean, it's what you do.
Yep.
And none of these individual strategies that we talked about today will work independently. You need to correct and support the entire hormonal system in the body.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't emphasize that enough, Kevin. I mean, it's, some people will say this is an unfair competitive advantage, and if it is, so be it. Because I like what you said. It's like I want to feel like the young you, like the old young you, that vital energy, and I know, being in my later 40s right now, what it's like to come back from a period of dull testosterone and tolerating the decline sucked, honestly. To be quite honest, it just sucked. And to get back that vitality, to have my energy back, to have my muscles and body getting lean again, and to be able to perform on my bike and in the gym and in the bedroom and in my life, I mean, I urge men. This is something I urge men to take action of your life, take control of your life, and to change this course now.
Exactly. We'll click the Add to Cart button below this presentation, and we'll see you on the other side.